The Miami Heat just walked into State Farm Arena and delivered one of the most gut-wrenching, high-stakes performances of the season. In a play-in battle that swung back and forth like a pendulum, it was Tyler Herro's cold-blooded shot-making, Bam Adebayo's inside dominance, and an unexpected spark from Davion Mitchell that carried Miami to a 117-114 overtime victory over the Atlanta Hawks. This game had everything: buzzer-beating shots, unlikely heroes, and playoff-level intensity. If you love in-depth NBA breakdowns and raw emotion from the hardwood, be sure to subscribe to Basketball Insider USA. Your support keeps this channel alive. From the opening tip, it was clear Miami came in ready to make a statement. Bam Adebayo wasted no time setting the tone, aggressively rolling to the basket and powering through defenders with a combination of finesse and strength. He opened the scoring with a soft hook shot, then followed it up with a two-handed dunk off a perfectly timed lob from Davion Mitchell. On the defensive end, Bam was everywhere, contesting at the rim, switching out to the perimeter, and anchoring Miami's rotations. The Heat burst out to a 10-0 lead, suffocating Atlanta on defense. Trae Young struggled to find space early on, with Andrew Wiggins and Haywood Highsmith switching onto him and forcing tough, contested looks. Atlanta finally responded when Saddiq Bey attacked downhill and muscled in an and-one layup, giving the home crowd something to cheer about. Caris LeVert helped steady the Hawks with his slashing and mid-range game, slicing through defenders and finishing through contact. But Miami had the answers. Wiggins cleaned up a missed jumper with a soaring putback dunk, igniting the Heat bench. Herro got going with a drive and kick assist to Highsmith, who drilled a three from the corner. The Hawks began to find some rhythm, getting into transition where LeVert finished a fast break flush. Still, Miami's defensive discipline and unselfish ball movement gave them the early edge as the quarter closed. The Heat led 29-23 after one, but Atlanta was far from done. The second quarter opened with more fluid Heat offense. Davion Mitchell controlled the pace, orchestrating the pick and roll with confidence. He hit Bam Adebayo with a no-look dime on the short roll, and Bam elevated for another powerful finish. The ball moved quickly for Miami. Herro found his spots in the mid-range and on the wing, and his off-ball movement created driving lanes for teammates. Tyler Herro pulled up from 27 feet and drained a deep three that silenced the Atlanta crowd. But right when Miami seemed to be pulling away, Georges Niang came off the bench and completely flipped the momentum. He hit a pair of threes from the top of the arc, sparking a 9-0 Hawks run that got the building rocking. Trae Young, though still cold from the field, picked up a couple of assists during the stretch, finding LeVert for a tough baseline fadeaway. Anderson chipped in with a floater in the lane, and suddenly Atlanta had tied the game. But Miami stayed composed. Herro continued to navigate screens, hitting a step-back jumper over Niang. Bam drew fouls and knocked down both free throws. Wiggins added a thunderous drive and finished through contact, flexing on the way back down the court. At the end of the half, Miami held a 53-50 lead, tight, physical, and full of tension. The third quarter became a defensive slugfest. Miami's game plan was clear: make Trae Young work for everything. Davion Mitchell picked him up full court, fighting through every screen and forcing the ball out of his hands. Even when Trae did find an opening, Miami sent quick help to disrupt his rhythm. On offense, the Heat relied on ball movement and Herro's shot creation. He curled around a Bam screen, rose from 18 feet, and hit nothing but net. But Atlanta began to find offense in unexpected places. Onyeka Okongwu stretched the floor with a pick-and-pop three, his second of the game, and Kyle Anderson, known more for his deliberate pace, hit back-to-back threes that stunned the Heat defense. The crowd erupted as the Hawks tied the game. Miami stayed calm. Bam found Wiggins on a baseline cut for a reverse finish, and Herro responded to Anderson's run with a long mid-range jumper. As the third quarter ended, the scoreboard read 88-88. This was playoff basketball at its finest: gritty, tense, and anyone's game. The final frame opened with fireworks. Trae Young, who had struggled all night, finally got loose. He stepped back and buried a contested three from well beyond the arc to give the Hawks a three-point lead. The crowd exploded, and for the first time, it felt like momentum was shifting toward Atlanta. But Tyler Herro had ice in his veins. He answered immediately with a pull-up jumper over Niang, then came off a screen and floated in a soft right-handed runner off the glass. Bam stayed aggressive, working the offensive glass and drawing fouls on second-chance efforts. Davion Mitchell, the X-factor no one saw coming, stepped up when the lights were brightest. He blew past Young for a layup, then nailed a corner three that gave Miami a narrow lead with just under 4 minutes to go. The two teams went back and forth. Okongwu hit a clutch triple, and Herro responded with another smooth mid-range jumper, barely grazing the net. With under 20 seconds to go, and the Heat up by 2, Trae Young drove into the lane, stopped on a dime, and floated in the game-tying bucket. Miami's final possession saw Wiggins take a contested jumper that rimmed out, and this thriller was headed to overtime, tied at 106. In the extra session, Miami showed the heart of a team refusing to be denied. Tyler Herro pulled up from deep and nailed a huge three, swinging the momentum back to the Heat. On the very next possession, Davion Mitchell struck again, this time off the dribble, sinking a contested triple with absolute confidence. Wiggins attacked the paint and dropped in a smooth floater, extending Miami's lead to 5. But the Hawks answered with urgency. Trae Young dribbled into a pull-up three that cut the lead to 1, bringing the fans back into it. But Herro wasn't fazed. He isolated, sold a hard pump fake, took one step to his left, and drilled a step-back jumper that left the defense frozen. With under a minute to go, Mitchell delivered the dagger, a high-arcing, mid-range jumper over Okongwu that hit nothing but net. The Hawks tried to scramble for a last-second push, but Miami locked down defensively. The final buzzer sounded, and the Heat stormed the court, victorious in enemy territory. Final score: 117-114. A play in classic sealed by sheer will, precision, and poise under pressure. This was more than just a game, this was a war. The Miami Heat are heading to the playoffs, and they earned every second of it. Tyler Herro was unshakable. Bam Adebayo battled like a warrior. And Davion Mitchell, he proved that the spotlight doesn't scare him. If you love this detailed breakdown, make sure to hit that subscribe button and help Basketball Insider USA keep bringing you the most in-depth NBA content out there. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.